How's everybody doing today? So I'm going to talk about when you're having really bad days and you're like overly stressed and things are compounding on top of you. Maybe you've been doing your spiritual practices and then the universe is testing you on a massive scale and you keep getting like blindsided and it's just one thing after another. You don't feel like you have time. You don't feel like you have enough to eat, or maybe you're not even hungry and you're trying to eat. You get into arguments, whatever the case may be. Sometimes the stuff that helps me is I'll sit back and close my eyes. I'll take deep breaths. And then I'll meditate and do affirmations. And usually I do the affirmations on whatever it is that I'm trying to tackle in the moment. But the affirmations can be anything, because remember, the affirmations are compounding in the subconscious mind. You might not feel better that day if it's an affirmation about something else, but I try to do affirmations that are related to my current state and where I'm feeling. And 9 times out of 10, there'll be a shift that'll actually make me feel better in that moment. It might not have corrected or solved problems that you have currently at the moment. It might not be a problem solver, but your emotion and your internal stress level will shift, and your anxiety might peace out a little bit, right? And that's what you want, because once your anxiety's gone to a certain level, and you feel a shift where you feel better, you actually can be more clear-minded, and then if you meditate from there, it helps out even more, and you can think clearly. The object is to get enough peace and an emotional state where you're not feeling that bad. Then you can tackle and do your spiritual practices again to add to the equation, right? We're like compounding the equation in multiples to the third power or the fourth power or whatever the case may be. I'm making it sound mathematical. It really isn't. That's not how the universe doesn't work like that. But you get what I'm saying. It's always the analogy of you throw the snowball down the mountain and the snowball gets bigger and bigger until it's a giant ball, tumbling down, collecting more and more snow as gaining momentum and getting bigger and bigger. That's kind of how it operates, right? So we're trying to gain progress. We're trying to gain a higher vibration, just inch by inch. The more progress you're making, the better, right? Like, we don't want to go backwards. So that's why today I was in a situation where I wasn't feeling that great, got into an argument and stuff like that. I closed my eyes and I internally thought about myself, where I was at, the emotional state that I was in. What part of my body do I feel like that's being affected by this? Because your body will actually tell you. So that's another thing too. You're gonna get signals from your body. Like, all of a sudden my right hand will go numb. It's like, oh, that's odd, because that doesn't usually happen unless you're sleeping on it, or you're dehydrated or something. Whatever the case may be, and you feel it for a minute and then it's gone. It's like, oh, I felt it in my hand. Okay, what else is going on? And after you meditate on that, I started doing my affirmations and focusing in on, what it is that I want to tackle in that moment. And it did help. It does make shifts, because the universe's speed is light speed. If you remember my previous video, the universe works at, faster than light speed. And you're capable of doing that within the 3D, within our 3D realm. We could tap into the 5D a little bit every once in a while, but it'll work so fast that it's like you won't have to experience the stress all day long. It might take 2 minutes, it might take 15 minutes, or maybe even an hour, but then all of a sudden you'll feel like a shift come over your body. You're like, hey, I'm feeling better. Maybe I just need to go out for a walk real quick, or a quick drive somewhere, sit in some air conditioning if it's hot out, or maybe, sit in some heat if it's cold out, whatever, or maybe you're sitting down to have a iced tea somewhere. Whatever the case may be, you'll feel the shift and you'll feel better. And now you can really focus in and hone in on what you wanted to tackle with spirituality practices or metaphysics. Because if you're in a state of anguish, you can start backpedaling really quick. And I was a king of backpedaling, and the backpedaling can be just like the snowball effect. You can start pedaling backwards faster and faster, and that bike is not going to go forwards, it's going to go back and keep going back until you start hitting brick walls and stuff, or hitting things, objects that are going to hurt you. I'm not saying like it could be physical, but like emotionally, whatever the problems are. And that's why we want to move forwards with the shift of closing your eyes and meditating for the moment when you're not feeling that great. It might be a little good tip for you guys. It does help me, and that way you can get back on course and start doing what it is you're supposed to be doing again with your practices. That's all I wanted to say. I greatly appreciate you guys watching my videos as always, and see you on the next one.